Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode number 62, take 2, but we'll get on to that. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Levi Clay, and I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Mike McLaughlin. How's it going, buddy?
You know me, mate. Try to stay shiny side up. How are you?
Yeah, exactly the same, mate. As good as a mood as I was in yesterday when we started recording the podcast, and hopefully by the end of this podcast, I'll be in a better mood than the end of the last one, where my computer crashed midway through and we lost all the recording.
Yeah, I mean, we lost everything except the recording of my voice, but that's going to be without any context. Quite a boring show.
Yeah, we're getting to that stage now where we can literally have some lost episodes that exist. We can just post lost episodes because we've lost several shows now because technology is a fucking wonderful thing. Aside from that, I'm good. I'm getting a bit flaky on the old head. My psoriasis is kicking up on my scalp, which is one of the reasons I gave myself this lovely haircut, thanks to your clippers. I'm in that stage of quarantine where I'm doing my own haircuts now, so I have an undercut.
I mean, you've done pretty good. I'm going to have to give you your dues.
Evidently pretty easy haircut to do, but annoyingly for the longest time I've cut my hair so it's supposed to swoop over this side, so it's shorter on this side than it is on this side. So this side constantly keeps doing that, and it's annoying, but such is life.
Leaving up.
Yeah, leave it
buy
up.
a hairband or something, you're fine.
Exactly, one of these days we'll get there.
At least you've not got a fucking 5 heat going. Look at this, man. Look.
Yeah, one of those age things. It's
like the
awful.
distance between my eyes and my fingers is like basically the same down to my chin.
Yeah, I mean, they do always say that, when you're drawing someone, you're supposed to put the eyes exactly halfway up the head, but I don't think that's supposed to include the hairline. Like, it's literally halfway up the head. But
It's putting me off growing my hair. I know we're totally going off topic here, right? Because I'd quite like to grow my hair again. Fun fact, I used to have very long hair. Well, long hair, not very long hair. Wasn't quite touching my ankles. But I'm going to look like Brendan Fraser. Fraser, even.
We've got to do that, the last hurrah. We're going to open the show today with a couple of thank yous. I want to say a big thank you to Bradley, friend of the show, viewer of the show. I've known Bradley for a long time. I believe it, if memory serves me right, it was actually Bradley that introduced me to Casey Roberts and the Live Revolution. Ooh. So, man of good taste. He sent me a copy of Doom Eternal. So, Bradley, you rock. Thank you very much. I am going to get this played. I like it when people send me stuff or send us stuff. So if anybody has any stuff you want to send the Guitar Souls, let us know. It's always appreciated. You rock. Big thanks to Bradley. Also want to extend a massive thank you to, and I apologise for butchering your name here, Yevor Arsenyev, who is the wonderful gentleman who on YouTube has been doing the time codes for the episode. I enjoy reading them when you post them, just because you don't just time code things, but you give them sort of silly captions of what happened at that time. And I'm often going back and going, what is that in reference to? Levi makes an ass out of himself. Apparently I only do that once in the episode, but what was the one thing that made you say Levi made an ass of himself? Like, I do enjoy it. So thank you so much. Hopefully you're going to continue. I mean, ultimately I'm saying thank you to pressure you into continuing to do that, but it is appreciated, and we love it when the community get involved like that. As always, I'm also going to make mention to our Discord server, or my Discord server, where I have a Guitar Souls channel. So if you would like to get on the Discord, let us know. And it gives you an opportunity to engage with us and contribute stories that you think are worth talking about. Make sense? Yeah, good. One last thank you. This show is brought to you by Ormsby Guitars. We want to thank Perry and the guys over at Ormsby for all of their support. It is very much appreciated. For those unfamiliar with Ormsby and what they do, they're wonderful guitars built by Perry out in Australia. And probably what they're most notable for in recent years is actually doing these runs of guitars that are actually built offshore and then brought into Australia for quality control and then sent on out. So if you head on over to ormsbyguitars.com and check out the pre-order section on their website, you can check out some of the upcoming runs, get involved for a very low price, and prepayment plans, payment over a series of months. Great way to get yourself a killer instrument and an absolutely killer price. So as always, thank you so much for the support, guys. Check them out and let them know that we sent you. Anyway, on with the show. So yeah, huge thanks to Perry and the guys over at Ormsby. I have been playing my Goliath a hell of a lot over the last few days, well, even a couple of weeks now, because I've been writing some 7-string stuff. It's inspiring. Like, it's a wonderfully inspiring instrument to play. And I'm doing the Steve Vai 10-hour workout tomorrow, and I'm probably going to play the Goliath for all of that, because it's a comfortable guitar. It's a lightweight guitar. If you're going to have a guitar on you for 10 hours, that's going to be the one that you're going to want to have on you. So plus the extra struggle of having an additional string to practice all all those exercises on. Awesome.
You just hate yourself, don't you?
Absolutely. How about you? I was talking to you yesterday, and you were talking to me about learning some party cannon stuff. How's that going for you?
I've not made any progress today, if I'm honest. Yesterday I was doing all right. The struggle is real, as I'm sure everybody else understands as well, but I've actually been doing quite good at getting back into playing guitar. So, I don't know if I mentioned it on the last podcast, but I bought a new amp and pedal.
You did, but you've not told anyone what it is yet.
Okay, so I did tell you though, didn't I?
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, okay. So, see, this is like fucking Groundhog Day. It's weird. So I bought a Jet City GCA 50H, which is the 2-channel head, 50-watt, all-valve, Soldano designed, I believe, Jet City amp, but it had actually been modified by Daniel at Dead World Audio over in Germany, and I just messaged him because I heard the amp and I'm like, this sounds incredible. So it's been modified to sound like a Friedman Butterslacks, which is the Brent Hines signature.
Yep.
So very doomy, lots of gain. You can roll it right back and do early Sabbath all the way up to like anything you want. And it saturates all the way up to like HM2, that kind of chainsaw sound, really aggressive, nearly synthy.
Yep.
And he was also kind enough to send me a prototype of his Duality pedal, which is a essentially 2-channel or 2-style boost. One is kind of modelled on like a tube screamer with a bit more clean headroom, and the other is a kind of voiced like a precision drive, if I'm right. So imagine like a standard and then like a modern version of these two drives in the same pedal. Incredible, man. And I feel as if like, say, plugging in and just switching it on, and no matter where the dials are, I'm like, this sounds cool.
Yeah.
It's making me play guitar more, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Like I'm always saying to students and parents over the years, like buying nice gear, and even my wife, buying nice gear is not necessarily a bad thing, even if it's not like the magic solution. Anything that sounds good, anything that you play and makes you feel good when you play it, inspires you to play. And what more could you ask for? So constantly buy new guitars would be what I'd say.
Aye, don't pay rent. Fuck it. Just buy guitars. I'd love that to be the reality, but it's not.
Or buy Guitar Souls t-shirts, link in the description.
Oh, this man's a selling machine.
Too bad nobody's buying.
I know. Levi sells, but who's buying? Sorry, that was really bad. I should be banned from the internet for that.
I mean, I know that there's absolutely going to be me putting an overlay of that album with my face on it now, so... Because I like to make editing these shows even more complicated.
You do. You just love giving yourself work. Anyway, that's led to me being more inspired and learning new party cannon stuff. We have pretty much an album's worth to all learn individually and then put together in the studio, which is really good because it gives us all something to work on from home.
Yep.
Also not good that I'm going to have to learn several songs. I know 2 of them mostly, but I'm going to have to learn like several songs of Madness. Now, they're fucking cool. I'm looking forward to being able to play them. I'm not looking forward to learning to play them. So
good.
That's the struggle for now.
Okay, so why don't I move us on from something fun to something hilariously fun? Actually, something that ultimately will be fun for you, but is currently miserable. Why don't I bring you back to reality with something that will make us all laugh? So Lance Benedict, let's get the show started with Lance Benedict. This is hilarious.
Who?
Yeah, I
We're
know.
never speaking about that person.
I know.
Who's that? Of
TTM guitars. Honestly, I know a lot of people feel like this is beating a dead horse, but that's the kind of horse that I'd absolutely want to beat into the ground. It's hilarious because he's currently filing for bankruptcy, and whilst trying to file a $3 million lawsuit that includes me, might I add, but he's filing for bankruptcy, and his bankruptcy hearing went out to, it was a public conference call, so people could phone in and be part of the conference call if they had any questions for Lance, etc. So that was a public call, and I know a bunch of guys listened to it. A bunch of guys listened in, and somebody listened in and recorded the entire call. And I didn't listen in; I wasn't there at the time, but they sent me the call afterwards, and I had a listen, and it was so unbelievably funny that I had to make a little supercut edit of it. So I've made this nice little video, and I've sent it over to Mike, and we are going to watch it together now. Mike hasn't seen it yet.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Please.
The context you've given me so far already has got me somewhat excited.
Yeah, this is how would I describe it? Excuse the video. This is very much a dank meme, if you like. Like my ability to put together high quality video content is lacking. So it has that very MS Paint quality about it. But here we go. Let's listen in 3, 2, 1.
And did you do that pro se, or do you have an attorney?
Pro se. Yeah, I don't have an attorney.
Lance doesn't have an attorney.
Are there any creditors appearing or parties in interest that wish to ask questions of the debtor under oath?
Mr. Cisneros, this
important.
is Andrew Catania from All That Shreds magazine. I would like to make it known that Mr. Benedict is hiding assets.
Okay, would you like to ask him any questions regarding those assets?
He closed the LLC in California when he was the minority business owner. I don't believe Mr. Lamb is on the call. I believe that he should be the one asking the questions. That he illegally closed.
Hey, Andrew, what are you doing on this call? You're not a creditor.
Or parties in interest that wish to ask questions of the debtor under oath? Parties in interest.
Lance is about to get told. Fucking clown.
Excuse me, Mr. Benedict.
Mr. Benedict, you're fraudulently filing a bankruptcy, and you're going to be held to it. I will provide Mr.
What a hero Andrew is.
With the U.S. Attorney's Office. This whole bankruptcy is fraudulent, and I will.
Do you have any questions that you would like to ask of the debtor under penalty of perjury? I will continue it for you to provide me the report that you indicated you were going to provide, but this is the opportunity to ask questions.
Mr. Benedict, are you hiding assets?
Okay, good.
I have a question.
No, this is your opportunity to
No, Lance, shut up. This is your opportunity to answer.
I'm sorry, I'm lost. Who's asking the question? And what is
Mr. Benedict, the question is, are you hiding any assets?
No, they're not hiding any assets. The
it's going to bite you in the arse.
By the other partners before I.
It's dissolved by the other partners.
Dissolved it. I have a letter that.
Wow, amazing! It almost looks like on this signed document of the dissolution of the company, your name is on it and you signed it. You absolute fucking clown.
No, wait. I mean, if it's been dissolved by somebody else and they've used his signature, then surely what you should be doing is pursuing that legally to say that the company can't file for bankruptcy and everyone's fine. It's not dissolved, and here's what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely magic. I'm so proud of Andrew, the amount of work that he's put into this.
Andrew, if I'm ever in the US with a band and you're anywhere near any show you want to come to, man, you're getting a t-shirt, entrance and beers, because you know what? The fact you just came on and so politely just went, are you hiding assets? Yeah. I just, I could feel Lance's arsehole tighten for here. The panic and that trying to stay calm. No, I'm not.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem to matter what he does. It seems that all Lance's... He's fucked over loads of people, but it's individual groups of people. You know, the guitar community, the California Labor Board, the whoever deals with franchises, the franchise licensee board, whatever you call those people. He messes those around. Now the bankruptcy people and the legal system, right? And they're all individuals. But this thread that runs through all of them is Andrew. And he turns up and just... Lance would fly through this bankruptcy situation if Andrew wasn't poking constantly, because the bankruptcy people will just look at it and go, cool, okay, you're bankrupt. But because you've got someone like Andrew that can come along and be like, hey, people that are going to help Lance get away with this, are you aware of all of these other things that are going on and that this bankruptcy is fraudulent? You know that the second Lance heard Andrew's voice in that, that is a whole nother level of blood boiling. And I enjoyed hearing it. I am so fucking happy that Andrew ruined your day, Lance, you absolute cockwomble.
I think the best thing from it is exactly as you're saying, like Andrew like threading through, and then because as you say, this could have sailed through. All it would take is the cases not being linked, obviously all the legal inquiries that are going on behind Lance and his practices. And this, if he goes bankrupt, I mean, there's not really much they can do. They can't. It's been granted before they've had the chance to do anything to actually hold him accountable. But so long as Andrew is still being a thorn in the side and causing delays, then there's every chance that might catch up. And bigger picture, there'll actually be some fucking justice in this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. it's a funny one to follow. Like Andrew has sent me over the full-on the documents that Lance has filed to go over his bankruptcy, and it lists all the people that he owes money to, totaling about $350,000, if memory serves me right, including the $100,000 lawsuit that he's currently in with his partners that he ripped off.
When he gets his $3 million settlement, he'll be able to pay everybody.
That's the amazing thing. He wants to write off the $100,000 that he owes his, the people that are suing him. That's just a debt that'll be written off. But he even says in this call, I didn't include it in that clip, but he's very much of the opinion that after he's made bankrupt, that his ongoing lawsuit where he's trying to countersue for $3 million will still continue to go ahead. What fucking planet does this man live on? Like, it's whatever planet it is, can you fuck off back there, please? You monumental cunt. Okay, that's all I wanted to do on Lance, but let's move on to something a little bit more entertaining. I tell you what, let's do something real funny. That reverb page, the Gibson Les Paul Standard Twisted guitar, the 1970s Sunburst, unique modified. So
I think this is a one-off custom shop that Lance Benedict did when he worked for Gibson.
It's actually like there's no real
revolting is the word you're looking for.
Yeah,
revolting.
So I'm posting pictures of it on screen now, and it's so bizarre. I looked at this and I was like, why on earth would Gibson have made that? Especially look at the back of it, that third picture. You can see why they've called it the Twisted. It looks like somebody has literally taken the guitar and sort of twisted it 360 round. You can tell what they were going for, but I can't imagine who did this, why they did it. Like, they took a really nice, expensive guitar and then thought to themselves, you know what would make it cooler? Let's just do this to it. So yeah, this absolutely wasn't done by Gibson. And then when you look at like the front-on picture of this guitar, it's just an absolute fucking monstrosity. Absolute monstrosity. The only reason I thought this was funny and worth bringing up is the guy's trying to sell this for £2,100, which is what, about $3,000 maybe? But $2.5? $2,600?
Nutter.
Why are there so many people like this out there, man? I don't understand it. It just makes no sense to me.
Have you read the advert?
I did, yeah.
Clearly the person who did the modifications had better craftsmanship skills than judgment. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can't really make fun of the guy that did this in the original place, because when you make fun of him like that, it's clear that you weren't the person that did it. Surely the only person that should ever be able to comment on what was done to this guitar was the person that did it, because surely nobody bought it after it happened to the guitar. Why has somebody purchased this guitar from the person that butchered it? What an absolute monstrosity. One more, I'm not going to say vintage, but old Gibson guitar that is essentially no longer with us. I would love to speak to the lunatic that decides to pay that money for it. I just don't see it happening, unfortunately.
That is fit for the bin. That's what that is.
For the bin. Actually, no. I tell you what, there is another one. I saw this. This was posted in some of the groups. I'm going to send this over to you now on Facebook. So grab this link.
Oh.
This got posted in one of the groups. This is a modified Ernie Ball, an Ernie Ball Majesty. You may have seen this posted online. This is solid gold. And when I say solid gold, I don't mean it's literally made of solid gold. It's the total opposite. So somebody has taken an Ernie Ball Majesty guitar.
Send it in.
It's coming over. It's with you now. They've done an Ernie Ball Majesty, okay? And see if you can tell me what's wrong with this guitar.
Right. Other than the terrible quality photos and the fact it's hung up next to a Pez dispenser, is the modification meant to be that they let hungry animals gnaw at the back of the neck?
Exactly.
Wait a minute. They've got it listed as condition very good.
I know.
Did Stevie Wonder come and do that for you, pal?
I cannot get my head around, and I think there's no description for the. Yeah, there's no. She plays beautiful. It just says, unfortunately, she isn't beautiful. How can you not make mention of this? The fact that you've butchered it. You've.
No, the worst part being, right? Genuinely, the worst part about this. I've not played a Majesty, but I've played a few Ernie Balls, and generally speaking, the paint quality on them, especially like from like the heel onto the neck or whatever, or that section. Nice, smooth, easy to do. And not only that, there's a fairly clear bit where you could sand away from where the neck joins the body, and a volute that you could sand up to. They've got roundabout there, and roundabout where the end of the fretboard is, and went, nah.
Yeah.
See if they'd done that tidy and oiled the back of the neck, that would probably be an incredible mods to sell on.
Sure.
But look at the state of it, man.
So poor, and so he's clearly done it, and then at some point has gone, I really don't like this. I'm going to sell the guitar. And at that point, he didn't go, I'm going to finish sanding it. It was just, I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to make there is no fucking mention of this in the listing anywhere whatsoever, is there?
It looks like the actual listing's disappeared. It was on Brent's gear outlet from Medina, Ohio, and so far there are no active adverts, apparently. Because I went in to see if he had anything else exciting.
Right.
You know? Like an amplifier with half the tubes ripped out, or a burst cone somebody kind of half super glued shut.
Under condition, this list is very good used, very good items, may show slight marks or scratches, but are fully functional and in overall great shape. Absolute clown. So, okay. Why don't we talk about Brian May?
Yes.
One of those shitty stories that happened literally the day that we recorded last week, so we didn't get to talk about it. And I've got ad blocker on, so it won't. The Independent won't allow me to view it. So why don't you give us the rundown?
I can get on. So Brian May hospitalised after ripping his buttocks to shreds in gardening accident. Queen guitarist said he sustained his injuries after being over-enthusiastic in his garden, though didn't share specifics. So as Levi said, this came out, was it the day after? Or the day of?
I think it was the day of. I think it was the first thing I saw. It was this and the Dawson's thing that we'll talk about came up like as soon as we finished. I saw these and I was like, damn it, they would have been funny to talk about.
Yeah, oh well, fuck it, content for today.
Yeah, true.
So essentially Brian May has done some sort of damage to himself in his garden and really hurt his bum. Not speculating, not saying anything rude, not even getting into the infantile, even though I can see Levi covering his mouth because he's probably giggling about this, right? But I mean, what actually makes it better is just the way that Brian May has put the information across. I think most of this has been taken from interviews and a tweet that he put out. So I will read as such. Brian May was hospitalised after ripping his gluteus maximus to shreds in a mystery gardening accident, he has revealed. The Queen guitarist shared to Instagram an image of himself wearing a face mask before clarifying to fans he hadn't experienced anything coronavirus related. The virus didn't get me yet, thank God, the 72-year-old wrote in his caption. I managed to rip my gluteus maximus to shreds in a moment of over-enthusiastic gardening. So suddenly I find myself in a hospital getting scanned to find out exactly how much I've actually damaged myself. He continued, turns out I did a thorough job. This is a couple of days ago and I won't be able to walk for a while, or sleep, without a lot of assistance because the pain is relentless. It's a literal pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Literal pain in the ass.
I just have these visions of him like hiding a badger up his ass, protecting it from people, and it's just literally ripped his ass to shreds from the inside out. I would love it if we could get the audience involved on this and give us as many Queen-related puns as you possibly can. I tried this yesterday when we recorded. I got one more just while you were talking there. It's not really a pun, but I just like the idea of singing, Mama just killed my bum. No, okay.
10 for effort.
I know.
One for actual substance.
10 for execution, sorry. I would say. I want to ride my bicycle, but unfortunately I can't because I shoved a badger up my ass. It's annoying that there's no more information on that, is there? Like, why would he tweet about it and give people all that information, but then not give the key? Because there's a big difference between, like, I don't know, like, has a motorized lawnmower and he fell off it. Or picking apples out of a tree and fell and scraped his eye, like fell on a fence post. It just seems that without that, surely you have to take a step back and go, there must be something he doesn't want people to know about what happened in that garden.
Oh, absolutely. So that's funny you say that. Where I stopped, the next 3 paragraphs are literally just, May did not specify what had occurred in his garden that had led to his injuries. May said that he was sent home after being looked at by doctors and that he was asked to go dark for a while and get some complete rest. He added that he didn't need sympathy, but rather some healing silence for a while, which is probably, please don't talk about this and find out what happened.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brian. Okay, Dawson's.
Yes.
This is the sad one. This is definitely the sad one. I like Dawson's music, and I hope that this comes out okay for them. But yeah, the story is administrators have been appointed to Dawson's music. They have gone into administration. This won't mean much to our US viewers, but in terms of big UK brands over here, we've got Guitar is probably the biggest brand in the UK.
I would think so, yeah.
Not on par with Guitar Center, but certainly that would be our big brand. And we've got a few other big ones. You mentioned GAC yesterday, Anderton's. Dawson's would certainly be up there. Top 5. They have, how many stores do they have?
6.
6 stores. Yeah, 6 stores around the UK, which again, to the US probably doesn't sound like much. But remember, we're a tiny little country in the grand scheme of things.
Yep. So they're one of the oldest retailers of musical instruments in the UK. They started in 1898 in Warrington. So there's a good bit of history and heritage behind them just as a brand. And sadly, as you say, they've called in administrators. But that doesn't mean that they're definitely shut and closed. From what we've read here in the Retail Times, they're continuing to sell from online, which is good. So it'll be straight from warehouse. And they're at the moment kind of looking at what the options are with the shops and where they're going to go, business restructuring and maybe refocusing their business plan. So there is every chance things might go good. And at the end of the article, they also mentioned that they are in advanced discussions with a number of interested parties with a view to a possible sale, but would invite any other party who may have interest in acquiring the business and its assets to contact us at the earliest opportunity. So they're clearly looking to sort things out and keep things moving, which is good.
Yeah, it would be a good opportunity for an outside investor to come in, because Dawson's does have a lot of heritage, currently employ about 75 people. In the past, Lee Rafe was doing their video content for them, but more recently it switched over to Tom Quayle. So you've got the opportunity to get in with a brand who has already got, Tom Quayle doing video for it. Like, this isn't going to be a bad use of your money. If you are in, musical instrument retail, I think Dawson's has a lot of prospects. They're, cool company. So, real shame, and our hearts go out to the 75 people that are potentially going to lose their incomes in these trying times.
Absolutely.
Awful to hear. And yeah, it's another knock on the on the musical instrument community, right? Which is, it's annoying. It's just constant. I like to try and use local retailers where possible. Like my drum kit came from local retailer, right? And my acoustic guitar, local retailer. But then that's no longer here. So now try and use guitar, or because that would be but even then they're a big company, right? But point is, do your best to keep this scene alive. Ultimately, just don't buy from Amazon is what I'm saying.
Aye, that's it. I don't think Jeff Bezos needs another fucking
10 billion, yeah.
Just cunt. Anyway, we're not getting political. We said this yesterday. We're not doing it. Yeah, right, we're staying away for that.
It's funny, we had a comment on one of the recent videos today. Someone said, amazing political rant, you found a new subscriber. So, as with anything, like, there's going to be people that enjoy it and people that don't enjoy it.
Exactly. We don't want to polarise or exclude anybody, is the point you made yesterday that no one will get to hear.
Well, they could hear you.
Yeah, well, that's it. Just in summary, Levi quite rightly said maybe we should be more careful with how we put our points forward, because sometimes passion can very easily be misunderstood as anger or malice against an opposing view, and it's not like that. We're both open-minded in the sense that we're very happy for challenges to be, our views to be challenged, but it doesn't mean we'll back down. It just means you'll probably get a good debate from it. And you know what? I think that's what people need, rather than arguing or point scoring or just fucking infighting. Let's just talk about things. Let's find an actual central point. Let's progress.
I'm starting to even become disillusioned with that as an idea, because I don't think people ever really change their mind about anything.
No, I don't know as much. I think it's just easier to argue it back on the internet, because everybody can just do that. That's my point and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's my football and I'm going home. It's my PlayStation memory card, I'm going home. You're not playing Metal Gear Solid with my save. But that's it. It's really easy just to tap out, or to make it an argument, or to take it as an argument, or personal. No, it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
Back it up a bit. I've done it myself. It's not a judgment on MD. My point is that we need to be aware of it to be better at it.
Yep.
Anyway, we weren't getting political. Fucking hell.
No, but that was societal rather than political, I would say.
Okay.
Right, Soundgarden.
Now, this is getting a bit political, isn't it?
I know, all we ever do is talk about lawsuits.
But I mean, even the two sides of this, bickering and throwing shit at each other.
Yeah, so basic rundown for anyone that is new to the show. We did talk about this a while back when Chris Cornell's widow, Vicky Cornell, decided to file a lawsuit against Soundgarden for unpaid royalties, if memory serves me correct. Was there anything else that she had issues with? Oh, yeah, she wanted to try and take ownership of those songs as well. Essentially, the story is Chris Cornell and Soundgarden had been working on new material. Chris Cornell had recorded, demos of those songs at his home, which he'd written with the other band members. And there's all the documentation to show that they collectively wrote these songs. But Vicky is trying to claim that because Chris recorded them, they are his songs. And of course, that's not how rights publishing works for songs. He may very well own the recordings, and there's no may about it. He very much does own the recordings, but the songs still are the songs of the band. The songs belong to the band. So, for her to file a lawsuit over that is a bit ridiculous. But now, as often happens when lawsuits happen, one party files a suit and the other party decides to file a countersuit. So Soundgarden are countersuing Chris Cornell's widow and alleging that she is using or has used charity concert revenue for personal purposes. I'm going to read this again and try and not butcher it in the way I did yesterday. In a new countersuit against late Soundgarden singer Chris Cornell's widow, Vicky Cornell, the surviving members of the band allege that Miss Cornell used revenue from Chris Cornell's charity tribute concert for personal purposes. The countersuit is the latest development in the ongoing legal battle between Cornell and Soundgarden members. Don't need to read all of that. The trio of musicians allege that Vicky is withholding Chris Cornell's final recordings, which were intended for a Soundgarden album that they'd still like to release. Vicky, meanwhile, says that the band has been withholding hundreds of thousands of dollars in royalties due to the Cornell estate, as an attempt to bully her into turning over the recordings.
Just before we go any further,
go for it.
As a refresher to people who'd listened to us speak on this before, I think it was actually the last episode, excuse me, and just to bring everybody up to scale with it, everything involved in this, as in the files that they're arguing over and all the funds and proceeds, are all frozen by the court until that's fixed. So that kind of invalidates what Vicky's saying, as far as I can tell from the information we have already.
Yep.
Please continue.
Rolling Stone reports that the band's newly filed countersuit asserts that the band had an oral agreement with Vicky to perform for free at the Cornell tribute concert held in January in 2019. Funds raised by that concert were intended to go to the Chris and Vicky Cornell Foundation, which is a foundation that was formed before Chris took his own life, 5 years before his own life, and is there to support organisations that provide shelter and resources for the homeless, abused and at-risk youth and children living in refugee camps and victims of human trafficking.
Pretty fucking good cause.
Pretty noble cause, yep, I'll give them that. But the suit claims that the money never reached the foundation and that
recipients of the revenue.
That is true, yeah. I read that as receipts of the venue. Like
I seen you getting ready to say receipt, and I was like, go dive in here.
Yeah, recipients of the revenue, again, raised by the show, believed to be many millions of dollars, have not been identified. The suit goes on to claim that Vicky Cornell did not have the intention of using some or all of the revenue from the Chris Cornell concert for charitable purposes, but rather for personal purposes for herself and for her family, and that Vicky knew her charitable representation was false or exhibited reckless or negligence as to the truth or falsity of the purposes, the intent of inducing Soundgarden into agreeing to perform at the Cornell concert without compensation, and that the surviving members of Soundgarden consequently suffered damages and reputational harm.
I mean, you can tell the majority of that's been taken out of whatever the actual countersuit says from like the actual court documents.
Sure.
And for what I can take for this, maybe I'm wrong, we kind of glazed over this yesterday. Essentially what they're saying is she either is complicit in that money not reaching it, or it's her fault for being recklessly negligent and making sure the funds went the right way, that she's at least partially liable for the money not getting to where it's supposed to be, and there has been no documentation or receipts to say exactly what's happened with that money, which is, especially if it's meant to be for like a trust or a charity to help out really vulnerable people in society.
Yeah.
You really, really hope that's wrong.
Yeah. On top of that, the suit also alleges that Vicky has taken control of the band's social media accounts without their permission, and that many of her postings are intended to denigrate the band and surviving band members. So that seems like the kind of thing that would be very easy to prove.
I haven't been on Soundgarden's socials, but I'm going to have a wee look on their Facebook just to see if it's like crazy alt-right postings or anything mental.
The thing at the bottom that I guess is a little bit confusing is Cornell's attorney, Marty Singer, says that these claims are essentially not true and alleges that the band did receive $78,000 for their participation in that show. So again, there's lots of mudslinging here. You would imagine that Marty Singer wouldn't claim that unless there was proof that they received that. And at the same time, you would hope that Soundgarden wouldn't have made these claims about what happened to that money without some sort of proof. But, you know, it all comes out in the wash, as they say. We shall see.
Yes. I don't know who's got a hold of Soundgarden's social media, but whoever it is just isn't doing anything because they've had 2 posts since the 27th of January. One on the 29th of January, which is a music video directed by Dave Grohl, which I will need to fucking watch. And basically a throwback to Soundgarden headlining Hard Rock Calling at Hyde Park in London 2012, which was the 23rd of February. Since then, silence. So I'm not sure where the...
I mean, posts may have been deleted. It could have been other social media, but...
Yeah. I'm just saying, for what I can see here, there's no really that points that to us. But you're right. Anyway.
Okay. Michelangelo.
Top tier weapon, but that's just a different comment. Just before we go any further, you and I have had a kind of small public talk about it, but just what is going on with this Sawtooth endorsement?
Sawtooth.
I'm sure that's the name.
Oh, Michelangelo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was literally just about to make reference to that, but not know the name of the brand. I was going to say, also, isn't it funny that he's currently trying to push a new signature guitar? I hate it. I hate it when guys do this. Let's do it.
Wait, just I'll give you my point first, right?
Go for it. I'll load up the.
I really, really hope I'm wrong, but this smells like TTM with a brand in front of it, as in Michelangelo Battio is real. Therefore, these things are all real, and there'll be great quality and value. But every picture I see of the models, and I might be completely wrong, and I'm happy to fucking have egg in my face and eat shit if I'm wrong, right? But it just looks like really, really cheap shit that you can buy in bulk for a container for like 150 quid for fucking AliExpress if you order enough, because there is all sorts of shit, and it's like terrible looking Strats. Like,
oh yeah, you can. So I've got on YouTube now somebody demoing their guitar, Strat, and amp package deal. Right, this package retails for $152.
And Michelangelo Battio was clearly playing a $70 Strat, isn't he? When he's had custom shop Ritz guitars, at one point a double neck and a quad neck, and then he's had his Dean endorsement where he's had a number of beautiful models and then his signatures, to then drop all of that so that he would play the equivalent of an encore.
Yep. It's I do find it as very strange. The reason I said stuff like this really bugs me is because I've seen some stories recently where he's talking about how great these guitars are and they're the best guitars I've ever played, and all of that typical shit that there's no point even saying. If you have an endorsement with a guitar brand, there's no point even saying those things, because obviously you're going to say those things whether they're true or not. That's just a given, isn't it? No one believes you, Michael, right? Because it means one of two things. It means either these guitars are garbage and you're saying it just so you can sell and make money, possible, or these guitars genuinely are fantastic and better than the Deans that you've been playing for however many years you've been playing Dean for, and you've just never really noticed that the Deans aren't good enough. And either way, you don't look good when you do that. We've said this about many artists over the years, like, just shut up when you go to a new brand. Don't make it about the quality of the instruments. Just move on. Don't make a fucking big story out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm totally wrong, but these have all the hallmarks of literally just a distributor who can get everything in one catalogue, saying to Michelangelo Battio, you put your name on this for the guitars. Because you go to the website and there's guitars, basses, amps, ukuleles, harmonicas, pianos, violins, cajons, drums, djembes, percussion, and more.
Yep.
Right?
I'm on their website now and I'm looking at the Michelangelo signature. If you look at that, his signature, the white guitar, I'll bring this up a picture so people can see this, because I could be totally wrong on this, but when you look at that body shot, a close-up of that body, and you look at that tremolo, that is a cast tremolo if ever I've seen one. That's a die-cast tremolo. That is not an original proper Floyd Rose. And when you look at the back of it, it just...
The one in the actual photos, that could be cheap metal. The neck plate doesn't look great either, does it?
They just look super fucking cheap and shitty.
See,
Okay.
take the front shot of the guitar, right? That S looks like Samick to me, or some other American brand that gets away with this stuff, right? Now, in their photos, which have been obviously badly cropped, if you can see the lines round the guitar where they've cut it using paint or whatever, right? They're like the same photos that you get from the workshops when guitars are built by Chinese builders or in like the Chinese factories. You go to AliExpress and this is almost exactly the same shots that they put forward, right?
Yep.
There is negligible, questionable neck access to anywhere above the 15th, 17th fret, right? I know what you're saying about the Floyd Rose, that might just be the lighting.
Sure.
But nothing about that guitar in that photo makes it look straight. The pickups look as if they're slightly squint, certainly the neck pickup, because the bass end distance between the fretboard and the first bobbin is shorter than on the right-hand side at the treble side. Maybe that's a design. I don't know. It doesn't. I doubt it myself. It doesn't look very good. It just looks exceptionally cheap.
It also retails for $700, which is absolutely nothing. And when you consider that this is they call it the Americana modern, so not made in America then, with an original Floyd Rose, they claim, and Seymour Duncan pickups. So when you take out the cost of that Floyd Rose and the cost of the Seymour Duncan pickups and the cost of the Grover tuners, it comes with a hard case. Let's point out it comes with a hard case. They cost money.
It does.
Right? If you take all of that cost out of that $700, what are you left with here? You've got a $300 guitar. $300 guitar. And you're telling me that your $300 guitar that you're playing now is better than the multiple $1,000 Dean guitars that you've been playing for years. Fuck off. But if that wasn't enough of a reason to conclude that he's a bit of a clown, let's read this. So Michelangelo Batio addresses David Gilmour comparisons and complaints that Pink Floyd guitarist puts in more feeling. So, during a conversation with an Ultimate Guitar writer, Michelangelo Batio addressed the online comments about his highly technical guitar playing, including some of the comparison with David Gilmour and the comments saying that Pink Floyd guitarist has more feel. Now, first of all, this is a straw man if ever I saw one. Unless you show me respond to an actual person rather than a generic claim that might not necessarily have been made exactly. But he goes even further on this, right? So the question is, a year or two ago, you addressed the issue of music fans comparing you with metal, guitar players associated with slower, bluesier playing. In particular, there was a mention about Pink Floyd's David Gilmour. What do you think about these comparisons? And is it even possible to compare two great guitar players with who share similar styles? That's just bad typing. Guitar players who come from completely different styles, not home from two different styles. Sorry, It's only on with guitar. Right, so here's Michelangelo's quote. Here's the problem with that comparison. People were looking at my exercises. They were criticizing an exercise, saying that David Gilmour puts in more feeling. My classical training did this. There are two parts to being a great artist. One, you play music. Two, you practice technique to be better at playing music. So what people are saying to me is they're looking at an exercise that's designed to help you be better and criticizing it because it has no feeling. What? You've not even shown us these comments, but now not only are you telling us what these comments say, but you're telling us specifically what they were referring to. No, I see comments saying that you have no feel on every single video of you playing your own fucking music as well. I'd make those comments. And he just keeps going. And I'm thinking, can you imagine in Barks Day people saying that? It's the most ludicrous thing. If you want to compare my song against Pink Floyd or my guitar solo on a song and say, I don't think it has as much feeling as David Gilmour, that's a comparison I can accept. Yeah, well, evidently it's not a comparison you can accept, because when you get those comparisons, you then go, yeah, but you're just looking at an exercise.
Just keep going, because it gets better.
Or you can say David Gilmour has more feeling in this, but I like your feeling better. That's a comparison. But when you take an exercise that I wrote and I played to help you, and then the person turns around and says David Gilmour has more feeling, it's not right. Again, I'm going to interject. Yes, it absolutely is. Because the person's comment, even if you are right, Michael, right? Even if you're 100% right, and these comments are only ever made when you're demonstrating exercises, right? The person that is making the comment could still absolutely be saying, I don't want to learn this because David Gilmour has better feel than you, and I don't want to learn things that you are suggesting I should learn because I wouldn't want to end up sounding like you. It's not necessarily saying this particular exercise that you have played has no feeling. And finally...
Oh, this is the best bit.
What you should compare is David Gilmour playing the same exercise and ask, does he play it as well as Michelangelo Battio? See, that's the comparison. So right there, it's wrong. It's kind of like comparing a carpenter trying to build a house versus a house that's already built by somebody who's really famous. And that's how I see it. Does that make sense? No, mate.
No.
That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
How is comparing a carpenter building a house versus someone who's famous who's built a house anyway a comparison about feel when you're playing guitar? You are on a different planet, mate. That mullet is infecting your brain.
That wig.
What
mate,
are you?
That wig.
Yeah. I feel bad, right? Because I like Michelangelo Battio as a player. I know he's like the archetype of rigid, stick to the grid shredding, right?
Yep.
Like that. I get that, right? But I don't know anybody that didn't watch Speed Kills the first time they ever seen it, with those two crates in the background. I'm sure there were crates, and his Ritz Flying V that was made of fake steel that had like 32 frets or 36 frets, and him annihilating this guitar. It was impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's be totally fucking honest, man. It was definitely more style than function, but so what? Like, the guy can play fast and he can play.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Nitro fan, but he can obviously take some part in writing songs.
Yeah.
But nobody's compared you and Dave Gilmour, and you steamrolled in saying, well, actually, the problem here is that Dave Gilmour doesn't actually shred my stuff, and then you would see.
Yeah. I'm with you, right? I actually also like Michelangelo. I'm not massively crazy on his playing, but by all accounts, people that know him personally, he's a really nice guy. Okay, he's a nice, friendly guy, easy to work with. Just really, and based on that, it makes me feel really bad, like essentially poking fun at him. But stuff like this and just stuff throughout the years, it just strikes me as that classic, like massively insecure about your own personal, like, art. Like, why this level of insecurity? It just means nothing. It's the reason someone like that wears a wig for as long as they do and just is adamant that it's not. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Why? Just why? What? Well, actually, no, I totally do get it, right? Because back in the day, to be fair, when Michael was killing it in the 80s, right, he was so unbelievably cutting edge, and a solid argument could be made. There was definitely a time where the argument could be made that Michelangelo Battio was the most technically proficient guitar player on the earth at the time, okay? But it wasn't a very long period, and that period is long fucking gone. And when you're, like, the reason he can get in with Ultimate Guitar like this is because all you have to do is puff up his ego a little bit. Like, the response that the interviewer gave after this is, of course, you're one of the most technically proficient guitarists of all time. There's almost nothing that you can't play, right? That's you fluffing the guy, because if you polish him like that, he'll give you his time and he'll do the interviews with you. And that's just really fucking sad to me, because what you need to understand is you may have been at one point one of the most technically proficient guitarists of all time, and that there's nothing that you can't play apart from, all the jazz and the country and the blues and essentially anything in the grand scheme of things. There are 13-year-old guitar players that play better than you ever have, and you just need to face up to that reality. If you, for whatever reason, decide that the thing that you are going to do with your life is devote yourself to technique, to accuracy, and to speed, two things are going to happen. Eventually, you're going to be so old that you can't do those things very well anymore. But also, the whole nature of pushing technical boundaries means that everybody that comes after you is going to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. And eventually, you're going to sound like the old dinosaur. And yeah, you sound like the old dinosaur. So
it's a shame too.
Yeah.
I certainly see when you were like mid talking about like it. Obviously, it's a shame the guy's really nice. I just couldn't get the idea of, you remember Chris Crocker, that "Leave Britney alone"?
Yeah.
For like 2007. I could just imagine you with eyeliner and a blonde fringe, just like, "Leave Michael alone."
Yes, enough. I've bought stuff of his over the years. Like, I own Speed Kills. I own it on DVD. I bought it from Metal Method years ago. I own his CD, Hands Without Shadows. But therein, right, this may be true, it may not be true, but I certainly remember that when you read the liner notes for that album, very much like Frank Gambale says, you might have heard of me as the Thunder from Down Under. Frank, nobody's called you the Thunder from Down Under apart from yourself. You called your first album the Thunder from Down Under. That was a nickname you gave yourself. It's the same with, what's his name? Buster B. Jones. I love Buster B. Jones, right? And on one of his instructional videos, he says, some people call me La Machine Gun. It's Italian and it means the machine gun. Fucking nobody's ever called you that, and love you, buddy, but no one's ever called you that. So with Hands Without Shadows, it says in the liner notes that Hands Without Shadows is what some of his Japanese fans refer to him as. They say his playing is like he is the man that has the hands without shadows. No one's ever said that. No one's ever said that. And if they had, you'd cringe so much that you wouldn't call your album that.
Also slightly racist, him inferring that Asian fans would have to call him something that's almost like a ninja's nickname or whatever.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm glad I stopped myself from saying what I wanted to say after that. Me
too.
Let's move
Always.
on. Let's move on to the final story of the day. I think it's the final story of the day.
It is.
Yeah.
It's almost like a cry of redemption.
I know. This is the kind of thing that, like, it's so nice, but also so useless at the same time. Go on. You go for it.
So, our good friends and long-time supporters of the podcast, Gibson, have launched a free virtual guitar tech service. This was reported 10 days ago, so I think it was just before we recorded, and I think we either just missed it or did too much stuff to talk about. Trying to keep it down to an hour for all you sensible people that maybe just want to listen to us when they're commuting and certainly not inflict us on anyone else. So this was reported by Music Radar, and I'll just read verbatim and then I'll probably go off on a tangent within 2 paragraphs. Even a Gibson cynic has to be impressed by this. Gibson has launched a service that matches players with professional guitar techs worldwide, helping solve players' guitar issues via conference calls for free.
I was hoping you were going to say professional gardeners there, and I'm thinking of me getting hooked up with Brian May. Like, come on, Brian, what did you do to your ass?
Show me those cheeks, boy.
Sorry, carry on.
The service will cover Gibson, Epiphone, Kramer or Steinberger electric or acoustic guitars, ukuleles, banjos, mandolins or electric basses. It will be available in multiple languages across English, Spanish, French and German, and across time zones in Europe and the USA, with more to be added. Before we go any further, I have just realised, right, perfectly in time with I bet I get 2 paragraphs in and go on a diatribe, how many techs and luthiers are going to be suckered in to help and fix a fake Gibson across the planet. How many?
That's actually amazing, because the people that are going to need this service more than anyone is the people that have bought Gibsons, got them home, tried to play them, they don't play very well, so they're like, oh shit, what can I do? Well, I can't give it to an actual tech because he'll know. But if you do this service, they're never going to really be able to tell, are they? Your grainy webcam footage.
And it's on Gibson's dime.
Yeah.
So not only are Gibson attacking people who aren't making copies of their guitars and trying to shut them down, and legitimate businesses who, in some cases, have better tenure and claim to the designs than they do, evidently by the fact they've lost the patent wars or whatever they fucking want to call them. They're now almost directly funding people buying copies of their instruments and giving the people who have circumvented buying Gibson's own equipment to buy fakes a credit line to get them fixed.
Oh, my cheeks are actually hurting. I'm smiling so much.
I bet you didn't think that one was coming. What the fuck are you doing, Gibson? I mean, on the surface, great idea.
It is a
fantastic
good idea.
Customer support, right? Maybe a bit misleading. It says that they're going to be doing virtual guitar techs, then it's only for people who own Gibson products. Yeah. But that's a caveat you would expect, right? Not evident in the tagline, evident in if you know the guitar community or Gibson as a company, right? But because the only way around it is if that fucking tech or luthier goes clearly not a Gibson, burn that, which they're not going to do because they're getting paid anyway. They're not going to sever their ties or cause bad blood between them and Gibson over a questionable bit of footage, as you say, over a grainy webcam, or by checking the serial number. And the serial number on them is always real anyway, because it's one that has been going about the internet for about 15 years.
Yeah, I imagine the tech going, oh, awesome, that Les Paul, this is my 4th service of that guitar today.
And that's it. Like, oh, you changed the finish in 2 minutes. Wow, you managed to get that poly on there quite quick. How did you do that?
Yeah. It might be short-sighted, but continue, because it genuinely, like, the more I read this, it is such a good idea, but I don't see the benefit to Gibson.
Yes. So, I think that the benefit's meant to be, look, we're not that bad. Like, it's PR, isn't it? It's damage limitation. Anyway, right, because it works in real time with a one-to-one appointment, the Gibson technician, not a hired gun as they've said, a Gibson technician, provides you with specific assistance with your questions and issues. The virtual guitar tech, which is a VGT by the way, they've also got a shortened abbreviation for them, will then tailor their advice to your playing needs via this 2-step process. First, players can visit Gibson.com to schedule their free 30-minute one-on-one consultation call with a VGT. Remember, that's a virtual guitar tech who is actually a Gibson technician, according to this article. Oh, brilliant. When this video conference call takes place, you'll discuss your instrument type, condition, and any issues you're currently experiencing, and what type of services you need.
So the VGT, there's a big gap there, right? Well, at least for me, I've got an ad there. Initially, when I read that, experiencing what type of services you'll need, I was expecting to go on and say, then you can purchase these services. But no, continue.
The VGT will ask questions about your playing and style, as well as your experiences with the instrument so far. The VGT will also give you a list of basic tools you'll need to successfully perform the tasks they'll recommend for step 2.
It's only Music Radar.
I know. I'm just like, I want to overpronounce the bad bits.
Yeah.
Just so people see why you and I have been stuttering through stories all day. After you've completed the consultation, you can schedule a free hour-long one-on-one basic guitar tune-up service with a VGT. You'll have time to get any recommended tools and supplies from step 1. The VGT will then guide you in your 60-minute appointment with a step-by-step process to service your instrument. The kind of work you'll be helped with includes beginner issues such as changing strings, conditioning the fretboard to more advanced processing, including adjusting your truss rod, pickup height, action, and intonation. Now, before we go any further, all I want to say is I don't think you could really call adjusting your truss rod an advanced process, except doing it right.
Yeah.
And I really hope that Gibson hire the right people to not have someone go, I bought a $3,000 Les Paul, wasn't really playing right. I've asked one of your VGT gentlemen to have a look at it. They've told me I'll do this, and now I've got 2 frets popped out and I'm missing a fucking inlay. You're hit for the bill.
It's you would also hope that if you buy a $3,000 whatever Gibson, that the truss rod is probably okay, that it's already, it's set up and it's going to come flawless. Going to be a lovely playable instrument, but that's the annoying thing, right? So how you're laughing about this, and I also want to laugh about this, but we shouldn't. We should look at this and we should go, what a lovely idea, what a great idea. Gibson doing great things, awesome. What a wonderful company, and I would love to recommend this company to people. But Gibson now are the prime example of a company that have earned so much bad will from me that they will never be able to do enough to get that goodwill back. Never. They could send me a free guitar and I still would not be interested in having it, because they have done so many shitty things to this community. I'm just not interested. Not interested.
Totally fair. And it's a shame too, because all the way through me reading that article, you've clearly been like, give it a chance, come on, listen to how good this can be, or could be, right? I'll read the last paragraph and then we'll wrap this shit up. In these unprecedented times, we all could use a little virtual help from an experienced technician to set up our guitars at home, says Cesar Guecan, Chief Merchant Officer of Gibson. Sorry, I totally butchered that surname. With the Gibson Virtual Guitar Tech Service, we're giving our fans around the world the support needed to set up and play our guitars at home. But just the very basic point that you just made there, they shouldn't need it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need to be showing your customers how to set the guitar up when they're paying that amount of money.
Yeah. But I'm gonna keep hammering this point. It's an awesome idea for a service. And, if Ormsby offered that, I would be like, guys, look at this. Amazing. What an amazing service to offer. Because I'm not saying if Ormsby offered that, therefore they should offer that. This is a costly thing for Gibson to be putting on, I would say. A massively costly thing for Gibson to be putting on. It's also nice that I guess when Perry sends a guitar out, it's going to be good. So it's probably not going to need a setup. But something like that would just be cost prohibitive too. Well, I guess it's probably even harder the bigger your business is. And especially Gibson, when your quality control is so fucking bad. This is probably bankrupt them. They'll put this on for a month and they're going to have bills from their VGTs that are so high they're going to immediately have to file for bankruptcy.
Nah, because I think there's enough lawyers out there that think they'll then be part of the actual family of Gibson because somebody will show them how to fix their guitar after they've paid several thousand fucking dollars, pounds, whatever, way more than they should have for an instrument that doesn't deserve to be played.
I'll dig around and I'll see if I can find out how you can become a VGT and we'll see if we'll get you a gig.
Sounds great. Aye, mate, I've got Allen keys and that. Hired.
Yeah, do you know how to adjust a truss rod? I've watched a few YouTube videos.
But see, that's the thing, not to knock the service and the idea, because as we're talking about, that one-on-one interaction probably is a fantastic service. Yep. And I hope, genuinely hope, again, I'm kind of saying it like I hope there's egg in my face. I hope it turns out that that's actually a fantastic service and people that are engaging with Gibson, again, maybe get some faith restored or they get their guitar playing better and they get a better understanding of how to set their guitar up themselves. I mean, I'd imagine if you and I took that offer, were either of us Gibson customers.
I have a few Gibsons, and when I first saw that, my initial thought was I could test the service and see how it actually pans out.
You would be very good to do that with your George Benson.
I'd just be wasting someone's time.
Nah, I don't know. But anyway, my point is, right, it's a great idea. If it's utilised well, they might put some value back in where they've taken it out before. Yeah. To what extent that's going to balance out, I don't know, and I don't want to shit on that because at the end of the day, it's a fairly good act. It's just... Yeah. Maybe you and I's personal experience are biasing that.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to say.
Yeah. I'm trying my damnedest to find if I can see where these Sawtooth guitars come from, because I am, like, the headstock shapes are pretty much stag. Like, look at the headstock 3 aside shape, the kind of slim-bodied Les Paul that looks like an Indie, which might even have been where the Indies came from. It might be the same factory. There's something so familiar about the shape of those guitars, the headstocks especially.
When I type in where our Sawtooth guitars are made, the first thing that comes up is a Seymour Duncan forum post where it says that Indonesia. It says Indonesia, and these posts were from 2016. So this would be way before Michelangelo was signed with them. So, yeah.
Saying that, though, the comment, I think, basically just says they resemble Squire models that are usually crafted in Indonesia. But there's every chance, because 9 times out of 10, these warehouses or factories, are building for everybody. Like,
I've got an Amazon review here, talks about China.
Cort build guitars for everybody in their factory. I think it's Indonesia as well. So
this review of one of the Sawtooth ETC guitar series says, in my opinion, this is one of the... I don't think this is a purchase review. It's only a 4-star review. It says, in my opinion, this is one of the nicer $100 Chinese guitars. Talks about good-looking, decent-sounding, wide fat frets, etc., cheap-looking plastic nut, cheap strings. Yeah, so they've got to be Far East, haven't they? They've just absolutely got to be. They've got that look about them.
On top of that, there's comments here on a guitar forum. A guitar forum is literally what it's called. The A Guitar Forum, right? And somebody bought one 3 years ago, 2017, April, so around about the same time, almost 3 years ago exactly. $60 shipped.
Jesus. Yeah, there's lots of... So I've been considering running a story on Glary guitars.
Walmart had Sawtooth guitars in stock. Nothing says cheap catalogue guitars to me than that. Michael, I hope it's worth it, mate. I really do.
Yeah,
like,
there's
with
literally
no
not
badness in that.
a single other artist listed on their website.
I think they've basically went, you're going to do more for us than we'll do for you, but you're going to think because you're getting all these guitars and these things for you that you've won, when in reality he's maybe got $200 of stock.
Or maybe he owns some of the company.
That could be another thing. Absolutely. Who knows?
I've got the California Transparency and Supply Chains Act statement.
That's a different thing. That's about child labour and indentured servitude and that kind of thing in the supply line.
Point is, there is information on the site. I'm just trying to sort of see if there's any actual sort of information hidden in the back end of the website. Yep. T's and C's. Nope. Yeah. Anyone can find any info. I'd be interested. I was mentioning Glary Guitars. I was going to run a story on Glary Guitars. If you look up Glary Guitars, Glarry Guitars on YouTube, lots of guys were doing reviews of them a year or so ago. They reached out to me and offered me one for review as well. The way of trying to win me over was, we'll send you a guitar for free. And I'm like, dude, you literally sell guitars shipped from China for $60. You're telling me you're going to give me a free $60 guitar? Like, that's something I should be excited about.
It's just mental, isn't
it? Please look at the wall of guitars behind me. I don't need your cheap shite. But plenty of smaller YouTubers were taking this opportunity as content for their channel, and I know that just from reading the comments that a lot of people would took a punt on a $60 guitar, thinking it's not the best, but I'm sure I could fix it up. How do I put this? Like, there's very much, you need to be careful who and what you're endorsing and who or what you are pushing out there, because when products are this cheap, you just don't know how much money you could be generating for someone like Sawtooth or Glary Guitars. I can't really comment on Sawtooth, but Glary Guitars. Sawtooth, yep, keep an eye on them, and if any of our viewers can find out any more information, please do let us know. But on the subject of more information, did you know this show has been brought to you by Ormsby Guitars? If you are unfamiliar with Ormsby and what they do, I would recommend you head on over to ormsbyguitars.com. Absolutely wonderful instruments made out of Australia by Perry Ormsby. They focus on a lot of really interesting things, probably most notably the multi-scale thing. You can see a couple of them hanging behind my head. I am a big fan of the Goliath series. Having said that, I've also almost ordered myself a Hype over the years, and I think the thing that Ormsby do that, well, lots of companies have dabbled in, but they do a great job of it, is these runs of builds. You can go on their website now, check out the pre-order section of their website, and you will see a series of upcoming runs of guitar. You can get in on those with prepayment plans and really get yourself a nice, well-built instrument for an unbelievable price. So thanks to Ormsby Guitars for supporting the show. Go and check them out and let them know that we sent you. Thanks very much. So again, massive thank you to our friends over at Ormsby Guitars. Love you guys very much. Perry, if you can hurry up and make that hybrid guitar that you said would be easy for you to make, that would be wonderful. So get on with that, please, sir. Thank you, good sir. A lovely guitar to display at NAMM, don't you think?
Oh.
I mean, NAMM's totally not happening, is it? Let's be realistic.
Well, 2022.
Well, there you go. Don't think I'll wait that long. It's very much like any other musical idea that I have where I want to throw myself into. I get bored of it after 2 weeks.
That's fair.
Yeah, so that would still be very nice. Saves me from buying an actual hybrid guitars from Hybrid Guitars. So as always, thank you very much for watching our show. If you have enjoyed it, please do like, comment, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Head on over to our Teespring store, link in the description. You can buy yourself a t-shirt. Mike, any messages you would like to share with our friends and lovers?
We love you very much. Thank you once again for listening to us ramble absolute incoherent nonsense pish for only an hour this time, so you've done all right, to be fair. Just as Levi said, if you've got any suggestions or if you've any leads that we could maybe follow in stories or whatever, please send them on to us. Quite a lot of the time we're getting stuff through, and it's good because we're managing to even just use it to segue into other items, etc. Like, share, subscribe, buy t-shirts, go visit Ormsby Guitars.
Right.
You're the cheekiest bastard I've ever met, in a good way, right? Because the old adage goes, Shy Waynes don't get sweeties. So
also,
aye,
the
on that
entire
note,
thing of like being self-employed, or especially being a musician or an entertainer, is that entertaining people afterwards putting your hands out and saying, "Did you enjoy that? Please." That's
Please-
like patronage
give
is
me-
how entertainers have always made a living, and that's something I always hated the idea of doing. But I'm much more comfortable doing it now. So please do go and buy our merchandise.
Levi the
I
Bard.
know. Until next time.
Bye, fuckers.